we'll have to bypass. Hello. Welcome to the Anything More, Anything Goes. My name's Miguel.
And I'm Brendan.
And welcome to episode 88, folks. Happy 2024. We are back after our break.
Got a brand new set.
We're at a bar. We're having a good time. Brendan.
Same old podcast.
The same old
Just
podcast.
Getting a little used to where the cameras are now.
Yes, it's a little weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Brendan, we're not going to make today a big deal.
No.
You're going to tell me about the movies that we saw. 2 more movies that fucking disappointed us.
3.
1, we liked. Sort of.
You have to be more clear, but we'll get there.
Let's talk about the, I guess we'll say the most popular one first, Mean Girls.
Yes.
2024. Can you guess the budget right off the bat?
30.
30? 36. You were pretty close.
Okay.
That was good.
That's the best one I've done so far.
Yes, it is. After you said like 14 for something that was 120. Box office. What do we think it's going to hit?
87.
31.
But it's going to hit 87. Only Saturday.
It's a 4-day weekend, yes. Some of the projections are very early. It is, what is today? Saturday? Today's Saturday, the day that we're recording this, so it's really very early estimations. I assume it's going to hit 40. Give it another 2 weeks, it'll break even. Then it's going to be in pure profit. What did you think? Right? So this is Mean Girls. It's a lot of people are just saying it's a reboot. I'm trying to figure out how to sit on this new set. A lot of people are saying it's like a remake, a reboot, a something. People like you and me have known from the beginning that it's the musical brought to the movie screen.
What I love is you went in seeing the musical, the original, whatever, so you have both of those comparisons.
100%.
Only saw the movie, did not give a fuck about the musical at all.
No, you did not. I've tried to force it down your throat. You hate it.
So what I really enjoyed about this movie is a lot of those musical elements are things that I saw for the first time.
Ah, yes.
So a lot of things that pissed you off royally, I'm like,
oh my God,
look at that.
Was
That's
so fucking
neat.
angry.
Okay, that's cool that they did that. And you're just like, it's not the fucking same.
Yes.
It's not the same, and I can't handle it. And I'm like, I don't know what you're mad about. This is joyful. Like, I'm enjoying this.
Yeah. I mean, if we want to talk about the good stuff, like I'll say the things that I liked. The casting of the plastics I thought was great.
Yeah.
They didn't really get enough screen time or screen presence to compare to the original.
I absolutely love the original cast. I can't remember her name right now. Not the
Rachel
stressed out.
McAdams?
The stressed out one. What's your character's name?
I can find out.
You don't know the character's name? There's Karen. There's
Regina,
and then there's
Gretchen Wieners.
Gretchen. Yes. So the girl who originally did Gretchen never
Great.
had problems with growing
No,
up at
never.
all. But seeing this, the girl brought a lot more emotion to
She
the
did.
character.
There was a lot more.
She seemed actually stressed out
Exactly.
instead of her
Yes,
just being a normal girl, and then every once in a while she's snapping.
Yes. I think
That
so.
was so itchy.
What's crazy, right, is when I'm not a person that's on Broadway anymore. I don't do plays anymore, any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm just speaking from past experience. In order to do things on Broadway, you really have to emote significantly because that whatever sound you make or face that you make needs to travel across the audience.
Yeah.
It felt like they were doing that, but in front of the camera. So it felt like Gretchen was a perfect example of someone being like, I'm super fucking stressed. And it translated fucking perfectly through the camera. But you can tell she was like, the original Mean Girls was like, oh, I'm on a movie set. I'm doing this. I'm like a real person. She was like, this is...
The only issue I had with any of the new casting was Karen, because of the musical aspect of it, because she would go from being completely just an airhead and then break out into perfectly choreographed, danced, and then just like singing perfectly and everything. And I'm like,
that doesn't feel like you're in character whatsoever.
You should be singing out of tune. You should be the idiot.
You should not be able to be in choir.
No, and her like going from just being like, I'm gonna poke myself in the nose with this straw because I'm too dumb to drink, but I'm gonna hit all these moves perfectly and like belt.
It takes you out of it.
Yeah,
it's this point of like the music was supposed to help explain and elongate the story, and instead it just took you out of it.
What I absolutely loved is there's one scene where she's sitting in her math class, whatever the fuck level it was, and she just sits there, and I'm like, no, they're gonna do a song. I can tell they're gonna fucking do a song. And then the background dims, she starts singing, and I audibly laughed in the theater, but I'm the only one who did.
You did.
And then I saw online other showings where the entire theater all together went,
burst out in
laughing. No. And I'm like, that was the most egregious one where you're like, this is just a scene, and it was like, it didn't need the song.
No.
And it was really weird because there were certain moments where you would be like, there's like song, and you're like, okay, I'm watching a musical. And then there'd be like 4 or 5 scenes where not a single song
just
showed
like,
up.
This is a regular movie,
and I'm
I forgot
like,
that there's music.
This is just whatever.
And then it shows up out of nowhere at a place, and you're like,
yeah.
Damn, man, you really fucking ruined it.
There was just a lot of things like that. And one of the worst things for me was the mathletes thing. She's like, well, the limit does not exist.
Yes.
I felt like that was supposed to be kind of a bigger moment in the original movie, and because of this, she's like, I'm going to sing a song. The limit does not exist. And I'm like, you just ruined the build-up because you took 30 seconds to get there, and we all knew where the fuck it was going.
So let me talk to you from the point of view of the musical now.
Okay.
Right? So I can't figure out who the fuck this movie's for, right? Because because I said this when we walked out, the people who love the original movie, who wanted a remake, it's not for them because there's too much music. The people that love the musical, this is not the Broadway musical put to screen, and like maybe the budget's a bit higher, or like Rent where they add a bunch of heavy electric guitar. This is like they changed most of the songs, including the melodies and the tempos and everything, to sound like a fucking Billie Eilish song for 2 hours. Okay?
As someone who didn't watch the play and everything,
yes,
there were a couple times I'm like, this just feels very Billy.
Yeah, exactly.
And like to someone who didn't know anything, which is very apparent.
There's specific parts in the musical that I really fuck with, right? When the plastics come in, I've shown this to you. There's an entire musical number of each one of them introducing themselves, and it's hilarious. The part where Damien and Janice introduce, like, these are the mathletes, these are these people. It's a musical number, and it's great because it's funny. You get to the point of them talking about the band kids. They're like, they love fucking and tromboners.
Yeah.
You're like, that's fun. Yes. You're like, that's funny. In this, they skip over the little stuff, and then they'll be like, my name is Regina George. And you're like, I saw this movie 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
What's the purpose?
It was really weird because, like, nothing against Rachel McAdams, but the way they described Regina George was not Rachel McAdams.
No, not at all.
And in this, the girl definitely is Regina. But then the girl who played Lindsay Lohan's character, Katie, definitely not as pretty as Lindsay Lohan. And, like, it's one of those things where she walks in and they're like, you're hot enough to be part of this clique. And I'm like, you're standing next to the girl who's playing Regina. You are not the same.
No. No.
So it was less believable than, like, what it was, because, like, that was the entire thing. Like, you had Lindsay Lohan being the outcast. Obviously, the attractive girls are going to be like, yeah, you're part of us.
Yeah.
But not the girl from, Spider-Man, who's like a background character who dates Ned.
At all.
Yeah. And also,
that's where she's from. I totally fucking forgot.
Yeah.
To circle back, right, for someone who, from the musical perspective, they cut so many songs.
Did they?
That I enjoyed.
Okay.
And 90% of the songs that they did keep that they flipped, I hated. Right? So in the beginning, there's Cautionary Tale, which is them, they're in front of the phone, and it's Janice and fucking whatever his name is. They're singing. That was great. That was a 1-for-1. I was like, that's how everything should start.
Yeah.
But then that first song that she gets into in the musical, it's this big belty, like, it's called It Roars. It's this like, man, my name is whoever. I'm really excited to go to the US. I'm going to do all this stuff. Look at me. And I get here and I'm fucking disappointed. But I'm here and I'm like a lion. And in this, she's like, that's not who I am.
Because she couldn't belt. She couldn't belt that up.
And like, I understand maybe it's a charisma thing. Maybe on set or in the audition, she was great. They loved her. They were like, oh my God, you're cute as a fucking button. We're going to make you do whatever. And then when you turn and you're like this badass, it's going to be cool. From a musical perspective, if you were going to use her, it needs to just be a remake. If you're going to have somebody play that specific part and you're going to use the music from the musical, she needs to be someone who can fucking carry it.
She did do the, like, I'm a bitch now well, which I didn't expect her to do.
It's the singing is what I mean.
Yeah,
the singing
but I'm
was
saying,
not there.
you're talking about the charisma and stuff like that in there. And, like, I remember she's sitting at the lunch table, she got her arms back like this. I'm like, you look like an asshole.
You're like, you are a piece of shit. You're a real
And I don't remember feeling like that with Lindsay Lohan when she did it.
Never.
And that's a lot of, like, what felt a bit more. The only person I did not find it as an improvement is, I keep forgetting the character's name, but the one who Lizzie Kaplan originally played.
Janice,
yes.
I thought she was great.
She was good. Singing-wise, she was great.
But,
like, as far as the
talented.
character goes, like, I love Lizzie Kaplan, so, like, it's kind of hard to replace her. The only change that they made for the movie, I don't know if it's the same in the Broadway play, is that in the movie, Janice and Damien go to the, like, spring fling or whatever the hell it is together, and they're both wearing the same suit, and I love that gag.
Yeah.
And in this,
I have no idea about the musical.
Went with another woman, and she opened the door, and it was just a black girl Damien.
There was no context of her beforehand.
Damien's a black guy in this, so she also looked a bit older to me, so I'm like, oh, that must be his mom. And and I'm like, so he's coming out in the suit because that's just what I expected. That was my expectation. And then it cuts, and he's with all these girls. I'm like, who are all those girls? It's a musical. Those are just backup dancers. Whatever. And then it cuts to it. He's at the prom by himself, sprinkling by himself. And then she's with that other girl. I'm like, who is this woman? Like, what is happening here?
No context whatsoever.
Yeah. And she still wore the suit, but he didn't. And that's what I was really upset about.
That bothered me a lot. I can understand where that's coming from. I think Janice is great. In talking about the songs that were cut and the songs that weren't, a lot of it didn't make sense for what stayed.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I'm really glad they kept is the moment when I want to say Lindsay Lohan. It's not, that's the name of the actress.
Yeah.
When she comes out of the party and
Katie.
they're like, yes, when Katie comes out of the party and they're like, man, you were supposed to come to my art thing, and they're freaking out. First of all, the chair on the gag on the chair where he's driving the electric scooter, fucking hilarious. But when they come out, it's supposed to be this huge thing of like, it's fine, I'm belting at the top of my lungs, because it's not fine. I'm glad they kept that in. But it really, from like a tonal perspective, she comes out and the two of them are not like yelling at each other.
Yeah.
It's a confrontational moment, but it's really just like, man, I can't believe you did this. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's not like, and then she goes, and she's fucking belting at the top of her range.
Yeah.
I think in terms of saving that song, leaving it in there was great. There's a really weird song where Karen is in the closet by herself, right? And musicals are something called a reprise, where it's when the song initially comes up, when it does show up again later, the melody's changed a little bit, but it's still like, oh, I know what this is.
Yeah.
There's a reprise of that song. And instead of them being like, oh, I'm going to have this in there because she needs a solo, and then maybe we'll throw it in later, they were just like, I'm going to turn around. Oh, bye. I'm singing again.
Yeah.
I fucking hated that. There's certain songs that just didn't need to be in it.
Oh, Janice's character had a lot of songs where I felt like she was going to break out into a full-on number, and they gave her like 2 lines to sing, and then it was over.
Yes. Which happens very often. Buddy is not pretend.
I don't even
You are as plastic as they come. Where she does like a lot of talk singing, and then she starts belting at the top of her
and you're
lungs.
like, okay, this is going to build into something, and then they're like, no.
And then they're talking, and you're like, is this building into something, or is it nothing?
And,
yes.
There's also a weird thing where, like, I don't even remember Janice being an artist in the original one.
I do.
I just remember her just, like, it was like 2000.
Timmy and I watched it a couple weeks ago.
I was a kid when I remember. The only thing about her that I remember was her being a lesbian.
Yeah.
So, like, I thought that was the dynamic, her being a lesbian, Damien being too gay to function. And,
still a great line.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Every time that they, like, I don't mean to cut you off, but every time that they did, like, harken back and hit you with the little nostalgia of, like, this line is in the original movie, but we're doing it again.
It was great.
They changed it a little bit, but you could tell that they were, like, excited to say it, so you were like...
There's one that pissed me off so fucking much, and I don't know if we talked about it already, because I told my dad about it, and I told Isaiah, so I don't know if I mentioned it to you.
I have no idea.
The principal's name, who's from SNL, whose name I cannot remember.
Who was also in the original one.
Yes. He has a scene in the original where he's in a white tank top. His hand is all bandaged up because he's about to punch glass. Yeah. He's got a baseball hat in the other hand. He's like, all the teenage girls, or sophomore, junior girls, whatever, in the auditorium. Immediately. And I'm like, see, that's scary. And in this, he like pulls a thing and he's wearing a suit. He's like, everyone there, immediately. I'm like, guy, I can barely hear you.
You're like, come on.
Speak the fuck up. That was one of the coolest
it's also
scenes.
Been 20 years.
But I'm like, that was one of my favorite scenes in the original movie, and you just did that to it.
Yes. It's funny, too, because it's the same actor, so he's not harkening back or, like, trying to mimic anyone.
No, he just changed it completely.
He's like, hold on, I just got to be myself
again. You could
again.
fucking yell. Come on, you're an actor. Get a little angry. Get mean.
Take a shot or do something.
Act like you want to kill these fucking girls. That's what it was. They took out a lot of the animal comparisons. They showed them visually, but there was no inner dialogue, monologue, or whatever it's called, of her thinking.
The animal comparisons were better in this one, because I feel like, right, in the first one, I think there's one scene where they, like, mimic the animals that they're supposed to be. In this one, they're like, yeah, man, look at this. And there's, like, somebody coming up like a bird, and someone's, like, humping someone. And you're like, the animal kingdom. I get it this time.
See, I just saw them as teenagers.
Are you supposed to be a bird, or are you a creepy guy?
Except for the one where they're in the hallway at the end fighting, where I'm like, this is very animalistic. But in the other one, there were like people jumping like jaguars and shit. And in this, they're just beating each other's asses.
I have two big problems with this movie, right? And I'm going to say on the whole, it's not that I hate it. There's a lot of problems I have with it, but on the whole, I think it's fine.
It was fine, but it did not need to happen.
Exactly. Yes. It was not time for this. It clearly felt like, all right, so the musical was going to go on tour, and then COVID happened, so you needed like something just to make up for it. I get it. There's two problems that I had. Number one is that it's clear that they really just built this school set, or they got permission to use it for a little bit. So there's a bunch of musical numbers that just happen. Yeah. And they're like, oh my God, I'm telling a story. I'm in the school. I'm in this very specific hallway. Yeah. Everybody's on the sides doing the same thing. And then the next scene,
it looks familiar. I wonder if they used it in other movies.
It's just like over and over again. You'd be like, oh, here's another musical number that has nothing to do with the last one, but we're all in the same fucking hallway.
It also seemed like a much shittier school. Like, I remember the gym scene in the other one, there was like all these rows that reminded us of our high school. And in this one, they're like, these are wooden benches. There's 3 rows.
Everybody's upset.
Deal with it.
Nobody can sit comfortably.
I'm like, okay, whatever. Yeah. But there's also 2 things that really got a genuine laugh out of me.
I got one more.
One more what?
One more bad one.
Okay.
Okay, so the other bad one is that it's I said this again when we were coming out of the theater, because we try to like not say all that we're thinking to save it for the podcast.
Yeah.
The actors in this movie were not playing characters. They were trying to play the versions of the characters from the original one.
Yes.
So Regina was trying to be
spin on anything.
Exactly. She was trying to be
but that was welcome.
Maybe,
but it felt
exactly.
It gave this almost an uncanny valley.
Yes, it kind of gave like a little bit of an expansion onto the original roles, and there's certain exceptions, right? Renee Rapp was really good as like her own version of Regina, because she took what Rachel McAdams did and then went a little further. But like the other 2 fucking plastics, both of them just felt like, all right, so I'm gonna be you, but I'm gonna just do like a little more.
Yeah.
I'm not I'm not playing a character, I'm playing you. But I'm gonna turn up the notch just a little bit.
I also find it very funny. Like, I don't know if it was in the musical or what, but They were sexualized in the original one, but they turned that up to like 11.
110%.
In this fucking
Which is
film.
weird. I don't know if that's because they wanted to just like amplify the fact that
like
these girls are
TikTok
supposed to be
thirst
sexualized.
traps.
Yes. I don't know if it was that or it was supposed to be like modern day teenagers. They're all on TikTok.
I
This
don't
is
know
what they
what
all
the fuck
look like.
teenagers are doing, but if that's it, that's fucking wild.
It's not okay. We are in our 20s.
You
It's
see a
not okay.
25-year-old do that, you're like,
That makes
run it back a bit.
Yes. You're fucking 17. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Go talk to your parents. They probably miss you. What are your two things?
The two jokes that really got me were when they were in the auditorium and Tina Fey started singing, and I'm like, no, she's fucking
That was
not.
great.
And then she was
oh
like,
my God.
oh, okay. And I'm like, okay, that was funny. And then the other one where, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, was it in the original? But I can't remember. Where I believe his name is Kevin, the Indian kid. At the end was like, get off my dick.
That was so good.
I'm like,
oh my God.
that is the most
Yes.
like. Well, perfectly written line to just being a fucking high school kid, just saying the dumbest shit.
It had
Can
to
you
be
get
ad-libbed.
off my dick?
It had to be ad-libbed. I believe it. Because it was just like the four of them together. It was just like, stop it, man. Get off my dick, dude. I was like,
it was so
I was
good.
like, I've had that exact conversation before.
Yeah, exactly. That was what was funny about it.
I fucking love that a lot.
Yeah.
I have to say, right, just to circle back, I think it didn't need to happen. We're in agreement on that. I think I would have liked it a lot more if they followed the musical more to a T, just because the musical came out in like 2019. I fell in love with that shit. There's so much of it that I love. Some of it's really cringy, like the finale I refuse to listen to, but there's some of it that's fucking great. And I feel like in an attempt to make things more modern, they kind of ruined it for me. But at the same time, it's like, it's fine. It's a remake that didn't need to happen, but the fact that it did, it is what it is. And I'm sure they'll do it again in 10 years.
Yeah.
We forgot to talk about the big one. Lindsay Lohan's in this fucking movie.
Yes, she is. So, I was a bit fucked up when we watched this movie.
Always.
She came on the screen, and it took me about a solid 10 seconds to not realize that it was her, but to realize I was watching the wrong version, and like she wasn't supposed to be there. Because I was watching Mean Girls, and I saw her, and I go, "Oh fuck, it's her." I went, "Yes, Lindsay, okay." And I'm like, "Oh wait, fuck."
You're not supposed to be here. I'm confused.
No, I'm like, this is very different.
I appreciated that she was there. I think I'm a little, I'm moderately bugged. Right, so I was expecting more. Maybe this is the Marvel fan in me. I was expecting more cameos. Kind of the way that, like, the French teacher is one of the plastics from the musical.
Okay.
And then Lindsay Lohan shows up. She's the original Katie. I was expecting more of, like, little stuff, like Rachel McAdams to just, like, bump into a kid in the hallway and be like, what the fuck are you doing?
See, I wouldn't like the
That's what I was expecting.
The Marvel cameos are kind of annoying in a way. I liked how they did this. There was just enough, and it was just it was pleasantly surprising, not just like, oh, I'm expecting this. This has got to happen. It's whatever. It was
and then they gave you little things too, like Tina Fey and the principal are together. And in the original
they weren't
one,
together. No.
Yeah, in the original one, they were like, "Oh, I kind of like you" or whatever shit.
And he has a line where he's like, "I've been doing this for like 30 years," and I'm like, "Was it like 13
are you the
in the
same
original
one?"
Like,
because then
he's got to be. He's got to be.
It blurs the line. You're like, "Is this a sequel? Are we rebooting this?
Are you all like
because you're all playing
completely
the same
oblivious
thing.
to the fact that this happened to you 30 years ago and you have no fucking
You're
idea?"
repeating the exact same. I'm fucking confused right now.
And also, they were just like, yeah, we went to the like fan like early one just to like get whatever, and they did
the
this
Wednesday
thing
we were
where
pink
they're just
version?
like I'm not a girl, obviously, but like they were like we did like
Thank
focus,
you for letting me know.
You're welcome. We did like focus groups and everything, and they're like, this is who we wanted to play Aaron and everything. His name's Aaron.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's not stereotypically like Hollywood like good looking guy.
I have no idea.
So I'm like, who did you question? Or like, I'm also once again, I'm not in high school anymore.
Exactly. This
so,
movie
like,
is not
that,
for us.
No.
This movie, even though we're talking like, I say that like we're 30 or we're in our 40s, this movie is for people that are 5 or 6 years younger than we are. People who are still in high school or just getting out of it to be like, oh my God, I've met this person in my real life. I've seen this Regina on TikTok.
I also cannot picture kids in high school now watching Mean Girls. And they're like, it has such a long life,
separation.
and they got to do whatever. And I'm like, you definitely don't fucking know that
We're the ones
movie.
that feel nostalgic about Mean Girls. And even if you want to go back, say like the people 3 years younger than us, and that like the freshmen when we were graduating, that makes sense. I get that. But the people, the freshmen right now in high school, they're not fucking watching Mean Girls.
No, I don't even think
they're on TikTok.
They don't even know about it, and if they do, they don't give a fuck.
Exactly, because they want to eat hot chip. Swipe on their phone. Timmy's laughing. Okay, so.
Such an old fucking man.
It is. Yes. I'm 24 and I feel like I'm in my 30s.
You know what's funny? I'm 24?
25. Yes. Yes, you're 25. And now we're recording a podcast in your basement at your bar.
Another reference that anyone who's not our age would have any fucking idea what it is.
Not a single fucking
We're
clue.
old now. It's official.
But the bar looks nice.
The bar feels nice.
It does.
This chair does not.
No, it does not. My butt kind of hurts. All right. Movie number 2.
Yes.
A bigger disappointment, rather.
Ooh.
Beekeeper. The Beekeeper. Jason Statham, action movie, 90s schlocky shit.
I didn't get any 90s vibe. You're saying that because you watch YouTube videos.
Yes,
I didn't get any 90s off of this.
Fuck, I had it somewhere. What was the box office?
Bad.
I was so prepared. It's a 4-day, because MLK. The 4-day like opening weekend.
Do I have work on Monday?
I don't know. That's not my problem.
That's a good question.
Brendan,
anyone at my job
what was the
watching this, let
budget?
me know.
Stop. What was the budget of Beekeeper?
15.
40.
I got a different movie before. Okay.
Yes. The other one was 36.
Okay.
40. Allegedly, right? This is information from
No,
Google.
I'm talking about the movie we haven't talked about yet. Is around 15.
No, that was 15. Yes.
Okay.
That's cheating. You can't remember.
What?
What's the opening weekend? The 4-day opening weekend.
17.
Somewhere between 28 and 37.
Why? The theater was oddly full when we went.
It was, and that was the IMAX too. So anyone who doesn't have A-list is paying $20 to be fucking disappointed in Jason Statham.
We have been going to Dolby for so long that even IMAX, I was like, this is going to be bad. It sucks. And then we sat and I'm like,
These
this
are
is
surprisingly
nice.
comfortable.
I
Yes.
like these.
There's a lot of room
this
between
might be
these
better.
rows.
Besides the sound quality, I like the movement.
Yes. The fact that the chair can move a little bit,
Yeah.
and the fact that there's
you're
so
not
much
locked
spacing
into
from the
this
rows.
weird half reclining
Where
thing,
you're like,
I wish I was back further or
I
up
can
more.
kind of see this mostly if I just move my head.
If I don't care about the bottom foot of screen, this is great.
And it sounds stellar.
I fucking hate Nicole Kidman now.
Yeah.
I sent you a meme the other day. Not a meme, but like
Her jacket's on sale, right?
on sale.
It
We
is.
should buy it and burn it ceremonially.
Ceremonially?
That's
Timmy
not a
says
word.
yes. Timmy said it's a good idea.
Ceremoniously. When
I
she's
like
no longer at AMC, we can burn it and, like kumbaya. Like
The way that the set's set up now is I have you, and if I look a little to the left, I see Timmy laughing. It's fucking perfect.
See, and that was my thing. It would always be you, and then behind you, I'd see her. And every time I said something, you're like, "What the fuck?" She'd be like, "Yeah."
Okay, so the Beekeeper, right? Here's the concept. He's a beekeeper, which is a secret, like above CIA level thing where there's only one. Stop! I'm explaining the plot. Okay, the Beekeeper is this person who acts outside the law to protect the hive. Oh my God, the bee jokes. He can kill the queen if he has to. The president.
Your spoilers. Come on, you gotta get there.
The concept is cool, right? It's a single individual who's great at everything military because they don't fucking go into any depth about the training or anything.
Don't worry about it.
All of it.
Yeah. SEAL Team, He makes SEAL Team 6 look like pussies. Okay, but that was the thing. They started, he's like, I was the head director of the CIA, and even I wasn't privy to these things. They're like, but the president knows. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's vice versa in real life. Like, the president knows shit.
Knows less than the CIA.
Yeah, so he's just
at
like,
least the director.
So he's just like, I know less.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so clearly he's part of the Illuminati. And they're like, no, the president knows. And I'm like, you could have made this so much weirder, and you just dialed it back.
I got to tell you, dude.
Yeah.
Except for a couple action scenes that were really good, I fucking hated this.
Yeah, the acting was
atrocious.
Jason Statham was like, the way that I'm cool is I show no emotion and refuse to move my fucking skull.
My name's Jason. He didn't
Jason
move his
Statham.
eyeballs at all.
And they're like,
homie kept his face, ready? Homie kept his face like, my name is Jason. I can't.
I'm Jason Statham. I'm here to kick your ass.
You killed my friend. That's the wrong accent.
Killed my friend.
You killed.
I'm kind of going Australian, but I don't know what the fuck he is.
He is Australian.
Is he?
I think.
I don't know. They were like, oh, I'm hearing a little bit of Northern Isles in there, or like something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is he pretending to do a slight accent that we can't hear, but they put it in the script?
Does he pretend to have that accent always? Because
or is that where he's from, and you're just trying to make it a thing, so it's in his character that he's from there? It's not just whatever. And I'm like, dude, just like
stop,
act a little bit.
Yeah. He's just
how about
fucking
you're not
deadpan
Jason
the whole.
Statham?
He's just.
I'm Jason Statham.
Fucking dead eyes the whole time.
Yeah. And it's just
Jason Statham, fucking annoying.
Josh Hutcherson. Stop making bad movies. We saw you do good movies. Stop making bad movies.
Peter,
you're a great actor.
Peter,
do better shit.
Do it for us, please.
Holy fuck.
You have this potential, even in Five Nights at Freddy's, right? You could have the dead face look, but you could put some heart behind it.
He's picking the worst scripts.
In this, it's funny because they give him the phone, they give him the suit, they give him the ambiance, they give him the hair, and he's still like, yeah, man. His eyeballs aren't doing it. Yeah, what are we doing? Can you fucking tell me what's going on with my call center right now, dude?
We gotta go to this call center.
Are you 40?
We gotta spend like these 5 nights at Freddy's, and we gotta, and like, I'm like,
what are you telling me we gotta spend these 5 nights at Freddy's?
I can tell you're giving me the most you have with this dialogue, and I don't know if that's what it is. I don't know if the dialogue is shitty, and he's the only guy showing up, giving his heart and soul.
Yes.
And they're like, that's great. But then when they do real ones, they're like, can you do a bit better? And he's like, no, this is all I got. And it's like, dude.
Yes. I think
you
the
were in
dialogue is the
Hunger
problem.
Games. You were in Zathura. You were in...
Zathura was like 20 years ago.
Fantastic movie. Fuck off.
Wait, who directed that? That was Iron Man.
Jon Favreau.
Yes, Jon
Great
Favreau.
Movie.
Fucking stellar.
So
Look,
like,
the dialogue was the problem.
Yeah.
100%. Because
you're telling
the
me he
dialogue,
acted better at 7 than he did in fucking 30?
Yes.
Why? Do better.
Excitement
Josh
about the
Hutcherson,
world.
I'm calling you out.
Stop
Do better.
yelling at him.
He's
gonna
a great actor.
He is.
He can find this. He's a great actor. But
can you imagine if
better
the next
movies
episode of
with
the
better
podcast?
scripts. We want to see more of you.
Can you imagine the next episode of the podcast? You and I have to sit here, and then awkwardly, Josh Hutcherson's head comes up, and we're like, "Yeah, he answered us."
He answered us, and he wasn't happy. But like, that ain't on us. Do better, Josh. Because it isn't like you're watching him, you're like, wow, what a bad actor. Because that's not the case. It's just the
line
script that he's reading.
And the script. It's.
No, and like a couple times in this movie, especially towards the end, where he was like coked out of his fucking mind. He's like, "I'm gonna kill my mom" and everything. A couple lines are still a little
Mom.
weird. Yeah,
bang, bang, bang.
A couple of things like that were weird, but the other shit, I'm like, he's doing the most in these scenes. He's giving it his all. But come on.
Based on the way he's trying to deliver things, he is the scene stealer. He's the center of the fucking attention in every shot. And yet, somehow, the stone cold, stone faced, 1 or 2 line delivery presidential mom is like, I have to tell him the truth. And she's the one that you're focused on. When he's like in the corner going, Mom, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Josh Hutcherson's fucking freaking out, giving it 100%, and it's still not good.
What was really weird for me is for years now, because like the whole like thing with people being in political office and whatever, and it being such a hot topic.
I was very confused where you're going to go with that.
I was expecting her to be a bit of a political statement. She had blonde hair or whatever. I'm like, oh, she's like a spoof on Hillary or doing whatever. No connection, whatever. And it was so refreshing to have no real life connection.
She was just like, I'm the president. I have nothing to do with anyone who's ever existed.
I'm the president.
I'm the president.
I am the present. And like, it was just so nice for her to be like, I'm in charge, and that's it. I'm not making a comparison to anyone. I'm like, this is why I go to the movies. I'm not looking for a message.
David Ayer was not trying to make a political statement.
No. Same with the Suicide Squad.
Yes.
No political statement in that.
Just Margot Robbie. That was it.
That is my statement.
So, let's talk about the good parts of this movie.
Yeah.
The action was pretty good. Jason Statham had this very specific kick that he would do, where he would like throw his shoulders back and he'd like kick the fuck out of someone, kind of like a Spartan kick. That was always good when it showed up. He had a couple moments where he like... It's so specific. I was telling you outside of the theater, where he'd bang someone's head into something.
Yeah.
And the sound design was so on point. That like it'd be like punches and you're like, oh, this makes sense. I'm desensitized to this. And then you hear the bang of someone's head hitting a pole and you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
I felt that.
Because they couldn't show it, so they had to make you feel it. And that was so infuriating.
Yes.
I'm like, you're doing these gruesome murders that would make John Wick kind of like twinge a little bit.
In half.
And every single time you're like, and cut, and cut. And I'm like, no, show me what you're doing.
Stop it.
Can you
Don't just
Google
skip
if this
over
is
it.
rated R? Because I still don't fucking know.
I have no idea.
Because like,
actually,
if it's
I have the IMDb
PG-13, I kind of get it. And I don't know if it's just that we've been seeing mainly like rated R movies or whatever. But if this is rated R and they're editing like that, what the fuck are you doing? You have the free-for-all to do so. It's rated R, and you cut off a guy's finger, and you're like, and you cut, and you have, oh my God, that's what it was. The CG budget wasn't there. They couldn't fake that shit. They had to do
that was a good scene, though.
Yeah.
Right? When he takes the guy's hand, and he cuts it off so quickly, you're like, oh, they're not dramatizing this. This isn't some big deal of them, like, slowly cutting a finger.
Yeah.
He was like, beating the shit out of you. You don't deserve these. Fling. No fingers for you. And the guy's like,
but like there was so much other action and everything where every single time you're like,
oh
this is going to be brutal.
Yes.
And then it just cuts, and you're like, what the fuck? Why did you like? I don't know if you've seen Hot Tub Time Machine. I don't know if any of our watchers have.
I have no idea.
But there's this whole fucking story arc in that where in the present this dude's missing an arm, and this bald dude the entire time, his character's name is Lou, is a complete asshole. And the entire time, the guy who's missing an arm is doing shit like doing chainsaw tricks with an ice sculpture, and he throws it up and he slips, and he goes, "Hey!" And then it lands next to him. He's like, "Ah, fuck! Why would you take that from me?" And like that's how I felt in this movie. Every time they went to go kill someone, I'm like, "Where's the gore? You set that up for such a good payoff."
It's exactly what you said, right? The CG budget was clearly not there, or they tried to keep things cheap because I believe it was a budget I said of 30.
Yeah.
There were two specific scenes where you notice it, right? It's little things where the way that, like, this guy's body got pulled with a truck, you could see he, like, ragdolled. He was just a CG fucking pixel that flew away and whatever.
Yeah.
There's two specific scenes that showed it a bit more, right? There's a part where a bunch of SWAT guys are in an elevator and the elevator falls down. One of the SWAT guys tries to jump out. He gets cut in half and his body kind of does, like, a bouncy ball where he goes cut and then he bounces along a little bit.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow. That's not even shaded correctly. Yeah. I can tell that is something you just placed in there and it doesn't look like the lighting in the scene.
You gonna talk about the worst one?
The worst one was The Building.
Nope, no, it wasn't.
That to me was the worst one.
Okay.
The Building where they were like, I'm going to blow up this building. I'm going to light it on. And the whole time, you're right. He's like, I'm going to light this on fire. Anyone get out? You're like, okay, he's going to light it and it's going to explode. He gets outside and it looks like they took a video of a building, and they took a GIF of an explosion and they went, perfect. They put it right on top.
Only thing that I will say that made that better is I noticed it and I went, that looks a bit shit.
Yep.
And then I looked at the floor and I'm like, they have actual rubble there. So they went into like the effort to
make it look like the explosion happened. Yes.
So that there's something on the floor. But then later on,
then they just threw the GIF on top.
fucking elevator scene where they all just blow up in there and this dude falls out halfway and it cuts him in half and you see him go, and you can see the moment they cut and removed his leg digitally, and then they pasted a blood PNG on the thing.
And it's so funny
and they had the sound and went, and I'm like, no, man, no,
that's not real.
No.
I know that's
you cannot do
that's
that.
That's a Shutterstock fucking thing right there.
That blood was 2D, and I saw them do this. They went pop into existence, scale down.
And it's funny, too, because you look at the guy, you hear that, and then when he comes in, his contrast is so much higher than the entire rest of the scene that you see him bounce, and there's people standing there being like, oh my God, what happened? And then me being the viewer is like, what the fuck was that? I could have done that.
I don't know if you watch them or whatever, but the Corridor Digital
has
the whole thing
in a long time.
with their like animation and like stunts and whatever, and they're like, oh, we're going to review these CGI scenes. Yeah. They have to do the Beekeeper because some of it is fucking awful.
Some of it is really bad.
I'm waiting for it.
This is the nail in the coffin. Right, I haven't deliberately gone out of my way to watch a lot of David Ayer movie or content that he's created.
Yeah,
but this to me was the nail in the coffin of being like, maybe your Suicide Squad was not as good as you claim it to be. Yeah. Maybe it was not the fucking magnum opus that Warner Brothers destroyed. Maybe you're just like a mediocre director that they keep giving a really big budget to.
Maybe. I mean, if there another episode, never mind.
The DC list is coming.
I was gonna say this. Superhero movies in general have a habit of being like, let's give this to a big name director. Fuck, it didn't do good. Let's give it to someone who's coming up and coming and doing whatever. Whatever happened to the middle guy who just makes good movies?
Yeah, you don't have to sit here and go, here's $200 million to the new guy or to fucking James Cameron. But you can go, you made like 20 solid movies. Yeah. None of them have done super well, but none of them have bombed. No. Here's $50 million.
Yeah. No, you don't have to be like Christopher Nolan. Here, make another Batman trilogy. You don't got to be like, hey, Quentin Tarantino, make a Superman film, but make it edgy. Like,
here's $300 million.
No one wants that. Nobody. It's not going to work. Just because he makes good movies doesn't mean he makes good superhero movies.
Give it to someone who comes to you and is like, look, I have an idea for an Iron Man 4 movie. It's going to be a different Iron Man, but you're going to love it.
How did this happen again?
What?
We're talking about Mean Girls and the Bee Killer, and we're talking about Beekeeper
has to kill the queen. He's a queen killer.
And we're still talking about superhero movies.
We're going to get there.
On to the next film.
It's okay. The last film of the day.
Iron Claw.
The Iron Claw, yes.
The best movie on the list.
Yes.
And the one I wish I didn't watch.
On a budget of $15.9 million, how much did it make opening weekend?
70.
6.
76? Or just 6?
6.
6?
This is what Google tells me. I'm not
okay, but it hasn't been opening. How much has it made in total? Because like the Iron Claw came out during that like whole like.
Oh, it's an A24 film too.
Yeah. No, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh no, Saltburn wasn't, but everyone thought it was.
27 mil on a 15 million budget, which means it's in the red by a little bit.
Is it marketing?
Probably, yeah. But I'm sure now it's on streaming, Second Life on streaming. I'm sure it's fine.
Because
I'm sure they at least broke even.
It was such a niche film, but like you and me went to go see it because we went. Based on the trailer, this looks like a well-made movie.
Neither of us are fans of wrestling. I don't give a fuck about the WWE.
Zac Efron, like he put on like 20 pounds of muscle. He looks
homie is gigantic.
Fucking weird. There's Lip from Shameless is in this, who's also from The Bear. I love him as an actor. Let's see what's going on with this.
Yes.
Most depressing fucking movie.
Oh my God. So
I have ever seen. I almost rather watch The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. Almost. Not quite, that's close. But almost.
I would say I love this a lot, right? There's two sides, right? There's the comical side of me, and there's the enjoyment side. The enjoyment side is like, man, this was a drama. A24. It wasn't too long of a runtime. A lot of the characters in it were compelling, and the way that they showed and the way that they blocked out a lot of the scenes, I could be like, look, man, I fucking understand what Zac Efron's going through because his dad's a piece of shit. But then the cynical part of me is like, man, how many of these brothers can really kill themselves? How many of these brothers can commit suicide until they're like, this is too much?
The first one happened. And
that one made sense. That one caught me off guard. I was like, fuck.
And then the second one became mentally handicapped.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, at least he's not dead. He fucking killed himself.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, what the fuck? And then
he didn't kill himself. He died.
No, he killed himself.
No, he died in Japan.
No, it was the first one.
His stomach was all fucked up.
Yeah, he didn't kill it. He died.
Oh, no, the disabled brother.
Yes.
Damn.
The mentally handicapped one killed himself because he wasn't always mentally handicapped, and he ate all of his pills and walked off into the night.
Yes, he did. And then the last one.
And no, hold on. There's also the other brother who died before the movie even started, but they're like, remember that dead brother?
That's so fucked up.
And then the last one, he's like, I'm going to end it, man. And he's like, Dad, you got to go check on, like,
that's for you and your brothers to decide.
Yeah, that's on you guys. And then he shows up and he's just like...
He shows up as he does it, too.
And he's like, he blew his fucking brains out, man. And he's like, it was on you. He's like, you weren't here. He's like, I told you.
So in the end of this movie, right, for context for the people,
so
right?
upsetting.
You're at the last, like, 20 minutes of the movie. The brother died when they were 5, or when the brother was 5. Another brother died because he was in Japan. He was this big WWE star. He winds up dying in the hotel room. Then a disabled brother is disabled. He takes all his pills. He's like, I don't want to live anymore. Okay. Then you have this really sweet scene of all of them like in heaven together. And you're like, this is a little weird, but I get it.
Yeah.
And then
he doesn't die, so he doesn't meet them, which is weird.
Yeah. Then you get to the end and this dad who's a piece of shit, who he's not abusing them, but he's like forcing them into his dream, the thing that he wanted to do, and guilting them every single fucking step along the way.
Yeah.
When the last brother shoots himself, you have this huge dramatic scene of like Zac Efron holding his body and like putting him on the table, and they like have this moment together. And he goes to strangle his dad, and he's like, "You did this. You were there next to me. I was throwing my fucking hand up. I was like, kill this guy. This guy is a piece of shit.
You're
he caused all this."
me that a Zac Efron who's playing a wrestler who is so fucking large that if he threw an elbow and got a little bit too close to you, you're probably dead.
Yes.
And he's on top of his fucking 60-year-old dad who spent his whole life getting beat up, so probably can't move that well to begin with.
Nope.
And just putting all of his weight into choking him the fuck out for a solid 30, 40 seconds.
Yes.
And you're telling me that neck didn't break?
Yes.
Not that he suffocated him. That neck should have shattered.
I've never rooted in a drama setting. I've never rooted for somebody
I was like,
to kill someone more. I was like, dude,
do it.
I was like, he fucking deserves it. He treated you like shit. He fucking
use your anger.
He strung you around for your dream, and then he fucking threw you to the side for your brother because he was younger.
Because he could talk to the public, and you were awkward.
And you were scared.
Because of your bowl cut. And
this movie as a whole, man.
And it was really weird that like
I enjoyed it.
He wasn't the villain, but like
he was the villain.
Ric Flair was in this movie, and they're like, you're going up against Ric Flair, and then, like it was whatever. And he had like this one scene where he was like talking shit and everything, but the dad was clearly the bad guy. But because of like the way that wrestling worked and everything, he was just always kind of like there. And I'm like, so like, do they hate him? Is this just for the story?
I'm confused as to what's going on here.
And what's really funny is this movie showed me really what the power struggle was to actually move up in wrestling.
Oh yeah, I had no idea.
More than any of the other shit. So like I watched like All in the Family with Florence Pugh a couple months ago.
That was like years ago.
And like it was a good movie.
Yeah.
And in that like you had to like try and everything. And I don't know if it's just because like, you know there's a 40-year gap.
That's the one that's dating Ronnie Radke, right? Yeah.
What?
The girl that movie's about, Paige. Oh, she changed her name. What's the name of the movie?
She's dating Ronnie.
What's the name of the movie?
All Fighting with Family or something.
Fighting with Family. Yeah, she changed her name. Her name is Soraya. She's dating Ronnie Radke. They've been dating for like 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
Since 2018. Yeah. You didn't know that?
Wow. What a couple.
So anyway.
No one who's watching this knows who the fuck Ronnie Radke is.
The lead singer of Falling in Reverse. So let's circle back a little bit. I love this movie, but it's one of those movies I never need to watch ever again.
Oh, never.
It was one of those. It's the only holdover I think from 2023 that we wanted to see that like we didn't entirely forget about. It was like a couple days after New Year's, we were like, yeah, fuck it, let's go to the movies.
It's gonna be one of those things where we watch another movie like a year or two down the line, and it like has some comparison, and I'm like, remember the Iron Claw where all those fucking brothers died?
Well,
this is like
movie,
that, and like that's it. That's gonna be the only thing.
I love maraschino cherries. I'm sorry,
I don't like mine.
It's horrible because they taste like bourbon.
Have you tried the ones that are soaked in vodka? So much worse. Is it vodka or absinthe?
Those are two very different things.
I had one of them. It burned like a motherfucker.
I'm sure. It sounds horrible.
It's bad.
Okay.
But then you have the second one, and the first one hits so hard, you don't give a fuck.
I fucking love maraschino cherries. Okay, so Iron Claw. I'm at the point, I don't have much else to say about it. Like, I enjoyed it. I never need to watch it again.
It was written so well. It was directed beautifully.
It was acted fucking great.
It had such a very cool aesthetic.
They were so into it. They cared so much.
But I fucking hated it. I hated it so much.
I understand that you had a very great time making this movie, but I hated your movie.
The only question I have is, was the oldest brother the main character from 2017? 1917?
No.
Are we sure?
Yeah.
Feels like you want to Google that, but you don't want to commit to it.
No.
Okay.
No. I'm just using the hope that I have for my own brain.
Okay, because he looked familiar and I didn't know why.
Everybody in this movie
I
looks
love how
familiar.
they're like, I'm vomiting blood profusely at your wedding.
You should go to the doctor.
No, man,
no,
I'm
I
fine.
don't. I'm going to go to Japan instead in
you
the
should
70s.
probably skip that. No, that's, yeah, you gotta go.
It's
you
the
gotta
70s. You should go to the hospital so that way you're okay.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm going to fly to Japan, smoke cigarettes, and get drunk every day instead. And then I'm going to go
punched
wrestle.
in the fucking kidney.
And then he threw up enough
His
to die.
His intestines ruptured? What? How does that happen? I'm sorry.
I can't believe this happened to your brother.
How does that happen?
And then the dad comes outside and he goes, somebody's got to take your brother's place.
Your job is literally to get beat the fuck up. What do you mean, how does that happen?
I wish Zac Efron killed him. I wish Zac Efron killed the dad.
We also talk about how the dude who played Lip in Shameless, I keep forgetting his name.
Yes, I know. In the Bear.
Lost his fucking foot and then still went on to wrestle.
Yeah.
And
in
like,
the WWE.
People didn't even know.
Yeah.
Like, we know because we watched the movie, but like, watching it was what, I mean, like, obviously in the movie, he's just wearing a boot, like his foot's there. But like, it's just like, it looked good, obviously, because it was a real foot in the boot, but I'm saying, like, if it looked like that in real life, that's crazy. You're saying that there was a champion who was missing a fucking foot.
An amputee that nobody fucking said anything about.
And it was wild.
Yeah. That's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
There was so much imagery in that movie that I was like, man, like the scene of him, the one brother's driving down the road on his motorcycle, and it's like the opacity's down to like 20%, and you have the road overlaid on top of him driving, and he's like freaking the fuck out.
Yeah.
And it's mostly silent except for the sound of the engine.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there, I was like, you made me depressed.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine how depressed he is.
I saw that, and I'm like, what's really funny? Zac Efron won that title, he wouldn't have went out and he'd have both feet.
Yep.
And that's what's weird about it, is that they kept calling it a curse, but if he just won, they would have been fine.
If you just fucking stuck to the original plan and gave the son who dedicated his entire life to becoming a wrestler, none of this would have happened. No. Instead, look, you skipped in at every turn, and then this son died, and this son died, and this son died, and now you're stuck with the one.
One scene where he got like pile drived or whatever into the concrete on the side of the ring.
I fucking felt that.
He went, and I was like, oh my God.
His career's done.
Yeah, because I don't know the history. I don't care about wrestling. So I'm like, he's a paraplegic now. Yes. And then he was like, huh. I'm like, he's so strong. He's fighting through the fact that his back is probably exploded right now. And then he's like, no, I'm fine. It just hurt. And I'm like, you motherfucker. Okay, get up. Get the fuck
just
up.
A shock. Sure, it's like a concussion.
Probably get the wind knocked out of him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's just his arms are like he's.
I can't say that I got pile drived into a concrete floor, so I got.
Can't say that I ever want to be.
No,
that's okay.
I mean,
I'll pass.
You know, I've like fucking fallen on ice and had my like air knocked out of me, and that doesn't feel good.
That's the worst
I'm wearing
feeling.
pads.
You know what's horrible? I haven't felt this in a very long time, but when we would play rec soccer, and I was in like 7th or 8th grade, and you get somebody fucking wails the shit out of that ball, and the ball hits you right in the stomach, but it also hits you in the sternum. Oh my God,
yeah.
The wind's taken out of you, and everyone's still running. You just got to be like, and then the ref has to stop everything, and you're like,
but you're panicking, and you have to, and you want to breathe in so hard, but you really have to breathe out more in order to get like the rest of that air out, and then you can finally breathe in. What's really funny is when you're getting hit like that, though, like at least from my experience in like sport and whatever, some of the wildest hits where you're like, holy fuck, are you okay? Usually don't hurt.
No.
It's just a weird movement, and then like those other ones where you're just boom, and you're down, and you're like,
oh yeah,
holy fuck.
But it's just like the solid hit, straight on straight,
and you just, it's
you
like,
fall over and you're like
you do a flip or whatever, it's just like, yeah, but you go right down, and you're like, did someone blow a whistle?
I can't give me, I need 5 minutes.
And they're like, no, man, get the fuck up.
Somebody got a bottle of water, orange slices.
I remember this hit when I was playing hockey. I think it was not even in high school, like 7th, 8th grade.
Yeah.
I got fucking demolished. And I'm sitting there on the ice just, and I lift my head up. I'm like, are they not going to blow the whistle? No? Okay. And then I got up. And because I got up, I finished the game. Never went to the doctor for concussion protocol, but every time after that I got hit, I got incredibly dizzy and then couldn't play the game anymore properly because I'm like, I'm just going to, like, I started getting like PTSD from it because I'm like, I'm going to start like spinning again just because I just kept playing through concussion because the ref was just like, nah, you're fine. So I was like, I guess I'm fine.
You're like, I'm 12, but I guess it's fine.
You're just a ref who's like 35, probably an alcoholic sitting here right now, drunk as fuck, reffing some kids. So like, you know better than me, man.
I believe in everything that you have to say. Okay, so how's it feel to be back in 2024? We had a very eventful day. I feel like every time that
I'm feeling a bit alive again. We were very tired because we were doing a lot today, setting up the new thing, cleaning a lot.
Every time that we do a new kind of set or something, we wind up having these entire days where we're cleaning. Yeah. The first time around in June last year, it was cleaning up my house and then figuring out a set for there. And then we like, you know, we've told the story. There were ants, and then we like set up a set, and then we took the set apart, and then we set it up a different way.
It's crazy because we cleaned the entire basement today.
Not a single ant.
And it somehow took just as much time as the ant fiasco.
Yes, it did. But then again, we did find acorns shoved in a boot.
Oh, yeah.
And mouse poop.
Mouse poop or squirrel poop. Because, like, yeah, I don't know if mice eat nuts, but squirrels do. I don't know what mice eat. Are they carnivores, omnivores? What the fuck are they?
Mice eat other mice. Ask Stuart.
Mighty Mouse.
So,
what? Or Little. It's a mouse. Oh, we're talking about mice. God damn it. My brain immediately just went to Jerry. Like Tom and Jerry.
So 2024, the new set. We're at the bar. We're at Brendan's house. Let us know what you think about the set. Yeah. We like it. It's very different. It's not as convenient, but it's very...
For you, it's not. For me, it is.
Oh, no, I mean in terms of the set. Usually, before the old set, we could just, we move a couple things and we left it. Now we have to take things apart a little bit.
We don't even... It's not for them. But...
we don't have to take things apart necessarily.
No, I mean, we have to break some stuff down, but overall, not a big deal.
And I mean, we're going to see in the edit how much easier it is versus before.
Clear glasses. Good call.
Fuck.
We need some not clear glasses.
Oh, you know what's even worse is this.
Yeah. Fridge. Cold beer to go.
Okay. Brendan, do you remember what we did last week?
You mean a month ago? No.
Nothing. Okay. So the last thing that we did in terms of uploading was we talked about our favorite movies of the year for 2023. A
little bit about
we had a really great time. Yes, exactly. We talked about...
Which will be the last time we do that for a while.
The podcast in review. Yes, we talked about the history of the podcast a little bit. I'm sure around October we'll circle back to that on the anniversary a little bit.
Maybe.
We're not going to dedicate to an episode.
There's not enough updates.
We're not going to dedicate an episode to it until we hit like 1,000 or 10,000 or whatever.
Which could be sooner.
Ideally.
Make it happen.
Brendan, do you know what's coming up next?
February.
Do you know what we're doing in February?
Is it a Marvel list?
Tell everybody what we're doing. The thing I've been so excited for fucking years.
Miguel has had a hard-on since October to review all of the Marvel cinematic timeline.
Yes.
Kevin Feige had to go and fuck it up.
So we've been talking about doing the MCU tier list / rank it. We're going to call it a tier list, but we'll rank it at the end of all of the Marvel stuff, including what is technically fucking... It's all confusing.
Yeah.
Right? It's the MCU
What's
and then a couple movies.
Technically canon, what could be canon, what will be canon. Like,
no, what will be is not what we are doing. We're doing what is be, not what will be.
Is to be or not is to be.
So next week we're gonna have,
for me.
Next week we're gonna have part 1 of the MCU tier list, phases 1 through 3, because that's gonna be a fucking thing in itself. And then following that will be phases 4 and 5. And then I think that's a really spectacular way to like fucking catapult into 24.
Yeah.
And then we just need to fucking zoom up to 1,000 subs.
Yeah.
Well, we're not rushing. We're having a good time.
No, we're rushing.
All right, we're rushing. Yeah.
Make it happen.
Make
next
it
month.
fucking happen, man.
Make it next week. Tomorrow, we need to be there.
Can you imagine?
If we woke up tomorrow,
woke up to double the amount of subscribers,
and 1 million subscribers, and Josh Hutcherson was like, "Fuck you guys."
hops on X and like ats us, and we're like, we don't.
Or even like funnier, just like, you guys are right, man. What am I doing?
I found your number on Google. I understand where you're coming from.
I needed this. I'm gonna do better.
Can you guys want to come out to the premiere Five Nights at Freddy's?
Can it be on the podcast? I'd like to talk about this.
I'd like to defend myself.
Sure, Josh Hutcherson, come over my house to my basement. Let's do this podcast.
We can order a pizza like we did an hour ago. Do you like pepperoni or plain? Okay, I've been Miguel.
I'm Brendan.
And thank you for watching episode 88, folks. We'll see you next week.
Woo!